Some cases stay with you. This one haunts me. It started like any other Tuesday. A quiet neighborhood, a trip to the mailbox, a mother going about her day. By morning, she was gone, vanished from a locked house. The alarm was still on. Her purse and keys sat on the table. No fight, no broken doors. Her daughter was one of the most famous faces on television. The woman who delivered the news suddenly became the news. Her mother had disappeared into thin air. The FBI showed up within hours. $1 million reward was offered. Ransom notes appeared, but the money was never paid, and Nancy Guthrie was never found. This is her story, and it is far from over. Nancy Guthrie was not a famous woman. She liked it that way. She lived in Tucson, Arizona, a quiet suburb where people kept to themselves. Nancy was in her late 70s, sharp as a tack, independent, stubborn in a way that made you smile. She still drove herself to the store, she still worked in her garden, she still called her daughters every single day. Her daughter Savannah was the one everyone knew. Savannah Guthrie sat behind the desk on the Today Show. She interviewed presidents. She covered breaking news. She was the face of morning television. But to Nancy, she was just her girl. They talked every day, a quick call, a check-in. It was their routine. It was everything. On the day it happened, that call never came. February 24th, 2026, a Tuesday. The sun went down around 6 p.m. The neighborhood was quiet, cars in driveways, lights on inside. A neighbor had a Ring camera that pointed toward the street. At exactly 6:14 p.m., the camera caught Nancy walking to her mailbox. She wore a light jacket. She moved slow. She had a limp from an old hip surgery. She pulled out the mail, looked up at a passing car, waved to a neighbor across the street, then she walked back inside. That was the last time anyone saw her. The neighbor didn't think twice. It was just Nancy doing her normal thing. The camera never caught her leaving again. No car left the garage. No figure walked down the driveway. She went inside and vanished. The next morning, Savannah was in New York, getting ready for her show. Busy day ahead. But she always made time for her mother. She called around 9 a.m., straight to voicemail. That was weird, Nancy always answered. Always had her phone close. Savannah tried again at noon. Voicemail again. Now she was worried. She tried again at 3 p.m. Nothing. Now she was scared. She called her sister, called a family friend in Tucson, asked someone to go check on Nancy. The friend drove to the house. The front door was locked. The garage door was down. The lights were off. It looked normal, but something felt wrong. The friend called the police. Police showed up around 5 p.m. They knocked. No answer. They walked around the house. Windows closed. Doors locked. No sign of a break-in. They called Savannah. She gave them permission to enter. They found a way in through a side door. The alarm system was still armed. That was strange. If Nancy left, she would have disarmed it, or the alarm would have gone off. Inside, the house was clean. Too clean. Nothing out of place. A cup of tea sat on the kitchen counter, half full, a spoon on the saucer. The water in the kettle was still slightly warm. She had made tea recently. Her purse was on the entryway table, right where she always left it. Her keys were next to it. Her cell phone was on the table too. All three were there. She had not taken them anywhere. Her car was in the garage, a silver sedan, parked neat, doors locked, garage door closed. The car had not been moved. But under the windshield wiper, tucked against the glass, was a folded piece of paper. The officer picked up the paper. He unfolded it carefully. What he saw made him stop. He called for backup right away. The note was made from cut-out letters, magazine letters, like a ransom note from a movie, but this was real. The message was short. Police have never released the exact words, but sources close to the investigation leaked 3 of them. 3 words that changed everything. We have her. The FBI was called within the hour. The case went from missing person to kidnapping. The national news picked it up by the evening broadcast. Savannah Guthrie, the woman who delivered the news, was now the story. Savannah left the Today Show the next day. She took a leave of absence. She flew to Tucson. She stood in front of cameras with tears in her eyes. She begged for her mother to come home. She offered a reward, $1 million. Her own money. She would pay anything. The media went crazy. Every network covered it. Every outlet wanted a piece. The story had everything. A famous family, a quiet suburb, a ransom note, a mystery. But police stayed quiet. They did not release details. They did not share evidence. They worked behind the scenes. They told the family to wait, to trust them, but waiting was torture. While the public waited, the FBI worked. They pulled digital records from the neighborhood, Wi-Fi routers, cell towers, traffic cameras. They were looking for anything unusual. They found something, a burner phone. It had pinged a router 3 houses down from Nancy's home. The ping happened multiple times. The first ping was 4 days before she disappeared, then again 3 days before, then 2 days, then the night she vanished. Someone had been sitting outside her house, watching, waiting, learning her routine. They knew when she went to the mailbox. They knew when she made tea. They knew when she went to bed. They had been planning this for days. The burner phone was never traced. It went dark after that night. Whoever used it knew what they were doing. Traffic cameras gave another lead. A dark SUV was captured on a street camera 3 miles from Nancy's home. The timestamp read 3:15 a.m. The SUV was heading away from her neighborhood. Its license plate was covered in mud, unreadable. The driver's face was hidden. The vehicle was a common model, impossible to trace. The FBI spent weeks tracking similar SUVs in the area. They found nothing. The vehicle had vanished, or it had been hidden, or it had been changed. Some experts think the SUV was a decoy, a way to send police in the wrong direction. Others think it was the real escape vehicle. Either way, it led to nothing. The kidnappers sent more notes. The FBI has kept them secret, but sources say they demanded money, a large sum. They gave instructions. They set deadlines. The family was ready to pay. Savannah had the money ready. The FBI told her to wait. They wanted to catch the people behind it. They wanted to find Nancy alive. But the deadlines passed, the money was never delivered, the kidnappers stopped communicating. Silence. That is when the case went cold. The lack of answers has created a storm of theories. Let's look at the main ones. The first theory is a stalker. Nancy Guthrie was not famous, but her daughter was. Savannah had millions of viewers. She had fans. She also had haters. People who sent threats. People who hated what she said on TV. People who wanted to hurt her. Some believe a stalker fixated on Savannah. When they could not reach her, they went after her mother. They watched Nancy's house. They learned her routine. They waited for the right night. They took her to hurt Savannah, to send a message. If this is true, the kidnapper might have killed Nancy quickly, or they might still have her. The silence is terrifying. The second theory is a professional job. The ransom note was clean, the burner phone was untraceable, the SUV was hidden, the house had no signs of struggle. This was not a crime of passion. This was planned. Some think a professional crew was hired, maybe for money, maybe for revenge, maybe to send a message to the media. But professionals usually want to get paid. The ransom was never collected, so why take her? Unless the goal was never money, unless the goal was simply to make her disappear. The third theory is an inside job. This one is dark. Some people wonder if someone close to Nancy was involved. Someone who knew the house, knew the alarm code, knew her routine. Someone she would let in without a fight. The police have never named any suspects, but they have questioned people close to the family. No arrests have been made. No one has been cleared. Savannah Guthrie returned to the Today Show after a few weeks. She had to. The show needed her, but she was not the same. She looked tired. Her eyes were heavy. She spoke about her mother on air. She asked for tips. She begged for answers. Her sister was the same. The family was broken. They held press conferences. They offered the reward. They hired private investigators. They did everything they could, but the answers never came. They still call each other every day. They still hope. They still wait. They still wonder if the phone will ring with good news or with bad news. They just want to know. The case is still open. The FBI still lists Nancy Guthrie as a missing person. She is classified as a kidnapping victim. The reward still stands, $1 million for information leading to her safe return. The police have not released any new information in months. They say they are still following leads, they say they are still working, but the public has moved on. The news cycle has turned, other stories have taken over, but the family has not moved on. They cannot. They think about her every day. They wonder if she is cold, if she is scared, if she is alive. They wonder if they will ever see her again. Criminologists have studied this case. They say it is unusual. Most kidnappings are solved quickly. The victim is either found or the kidnappers are caught. But this case has gone cold. That suggests something else is going on. Some experts think Nancy is dead. They think the kidnappers killed her soon after taking her. They never intended to return her. The ransom was a smokescreen, a way to confuse police. Other experts think she is still alive. They point to the lack of a body, the lack of evidence, the silence. If she was dead, they say, something would have surfaced by now. A confession, a tip, a body. No one knows for sure. That is the terror of this case. When the story first broke, it was everywhere. Every channel, every newspaper, every social media feed. People were obsessed. They wanted answers. They wanted justice. They wanted Nancy to come home. But the media attention also hurt the case. Tips flooded in. Most were useless. People called with wild theories. People claimed they saw her in other states. People claimed they knew who did it. The police had to sort through thousands of false leads. Some critics say the media made it worse. The constant coverage might have scared the kidnappers. They might have gone underground. They might have killed Nancy to avoid getting caught. Others say the coverage helped. It kept the case alive. It put pressure on police. It reminded people to keep looking. The $1 million reward is still out there. The family has kept it active. They hope someone will come forward, someone who knows something, someone who wants the money. But rewards do not always work. Sometimes people are too scared to talk. Sometimes they are involved themselves. Sometimes they do not trust the police. The money sits there, unclaimed, waiting. For the Guthrie family, the nightmare never ended. They still wake up hoping. They still go to bed wondering. They still check their phones for news. They still hold out hope that one day, the door will open and Nancy will walk through. But as the months turn into years, hope fades. The reality sets in. The odds get worse, the case gets colder. Savannah has talked about it on air. She has said the hardest part is not knowing. Not knowing if her mother is alive or dead. Not knowing if she is suffering. Not knowing if she will ever come home. That is the cruelty of this kind of crime. It leaves the family in limbo, no closure, no answers, no peace. So where do we stand? We have a locked house, an armed alarm, a cup of tea, a purse left behind, a ransom note made from cutout letters, a burner phone, a dark SUV, $1 million reward, a famous family, and a woman who vanished into thin air. We have theories, we have questions, we have speculation, but we do not have answers. The FBI has not named a suspect. They have not made an arrest. They have not found Nancy. The case is open, but it is stalled. The trail has gone cold. Some cases get solved after years. A tip comes in, a witness comes forward, a piece of evidence is re-examined. It happens. It is rare, but it happens. Maybe this case will be one of those. Maybe someday the phone will ring. Maybe someone will talk. Maybe Nancy will be found. Or maybe this mystery will stay unsolved forever. The case remains open. Nancy Guthrie is still missing. The reward still stands. Some mysteries never die. They just wait to be solved.